Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Podcast, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. Happy Father's Day, everyone. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Ringside Robert, and England's adopted son, Joe Habib. And we have a great show for you today, and as always, you can catch us on the web at ringsidereporter.com. If you want to call and ask questions or just give your 2 cents, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857. Hit option 1 if you want to talk to us, and we're going to be here till about 9 o'clock tonight, maybe a little bit earlier. And first of all, I want to apologize to everyone. I'm on vacation here, and I'm in Florida, and the internet here is really spotty where we are, so we don't have high speed, so we can't do any video, so blog talk only this week, so we apologize about that, and we'll get back on track in 2 weeks. So, hey, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about, Robert, your dreams have finally come true. The fight of the millennium has finally been signed. Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor. Robert, what are your thoughts? You like this fight or what?
You mean the fucking circus that I'm not going to pay for? Whoa!
My goodness.
Hey, you laugh.
Unbelievable. It's a family show. How dare you? I'm in Disney World right now. There are kids everywhere. What's the matter with you? Let's move on. Broner versus Mikey Garcia lands in the Barclays Center, just like we all said. But first, we get started with Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev for the WBO, the IBF, and the WBA light heavyweight titles. Andre Ward scores an 8th-round knockout over Sergey Kovalev in their rematch on Saturday night. You know, the fight wasn't without controversy, though. Andre Ward hit Kovalev with 3, and I thought they were below-the-belt punches. Prior to those shots, Andre Ward landed a picture-perfect right-hand flush on the chin of Kovalev that really buzzed him and was going to, he was on his way out, I thought. 2 of the 3 judges had Ward winning 67-66. The other judge had it 68-65, which, incidentally, is the score I had it at the time of the stoppage. I felt that Kovalev controlled the distance with his jab, was landing better shots. Kovalev was not cutting off the ring from the beginning. It was like he was content to just follow Ward around. And I don't know if that was by design or he just had problems with him. I don't know. The end, of course, came in the 8th round with a hard right hand that stunned Kovalev, and he never seemed to recover. I mean, that was right, close-in shot, right on the chin, and he punched through the target just like he should. And, that was a tough one to recover from. After that, Kovalev stumbled out, went to the ropes, and it looked like Ward unloaded some low shots to the body. Referee Tony Weeks steps in to stop the fight. Here, my take on this is that those shots looked real low to me. The last shot that did him in was definitely a low shot. He hit him right on the nameplate, which was way below the belt. Now, granted, Kovalev was bending over at the time, so it wasn't as low as it looked, but it was still a low blow. And that's when Tony Weeks decided to step in and stop the fight. My take on this is that Tony Weeks should have not stopped the fight. Tony Weeks should have stepped back. It was a clear low blow. Should have stepped back, warned Ward, and given Kovalev time to recover. Now, does that mean Kovalev goes on and somehow wins the fight? I don't think so. I mean, anything is possible, but Kovalev was gassed in the round before, and that low shot that he got hit with, what was it, in the 7th round, where he just kind of bent down and Weeks says, no, let's fight. That didn't look like a low shot to me. It looked like it was definitely, right on the belly, right on the belt line. It wasn't anything low. But those 3 shots that stopped the fight looked low to me. So, Beeb, I know you don't agree with me. Defend yourself.
I'm going to have to respectfully, and I use the word respectfully, disagree with you, because we're all family here. But, I got to give a shout-out to Wingy Boxing on YouTube. I got to give a shout-out to Outside the Ropes on YouTube. two great hosts, and they really elaborated this beautifully. Wingy Boxing made a great point, and it's something that I didn't really articulate in my two videos, even though I thought I did a good job breaking down what I thought was a good stoppage or a good officiating job by Weeks. Now, this is the thing. Before the fight started, Tony Weeks pointed to Kovalev's trunks, said the belt line is very high, it's up above the navel, those shots are going to be legal. And more often than not, you see boxers pull that, their trunks up high, and that waistband is usually covering, and it's above the navel. So punches below that belt line are deemed to be illegal. Punches on that belt line are legal. And I thought the punches were on the belt line. I thought the last blow was below that belt line, okay? But at the point in time when that punch landed, Kovalev was already bent over at the waist, and he was leaning forward. And Ward threw the punch. He was basically bent over below the waist, and he was leaning forward. So that's why the punch landed where it did. And in real time, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I could not even tell if it was low or not. And I suspect that Tony Weeks could not tell if it was low or not as well. And if people want to talk about that fake Twitter account and all that, that was a fake Twitter account, people. That was not the real Tony Weeks. Okay, so stop it.
Explain yourself here. What was the Twitter account? I didn't hear this.
There was a fake Twitter account, a fake Tony Weeks Twitter account apologizing for saying he went back and watched the fight and saying he missed the low blows or whatever. It was a fake account.
I love it.
But getting back to this, Eric, if Tony Weeks did deem that last punch was low, and I will agree with you, that last final blow was low. It was below the belt line. It was below the waistband. I agree with you there. But as I said, in real time, I had a hard time seeing it as being low in real time. Instant replay, definitely, it was below. It was below the belt. But again, he was bending over at the waist. And you know what? Even before that punch landed, Kovalev's butt was basically on the ropes. So that could have been called a knockdown, possibly. So he could have stopped the action and called that a knockdown. Or, he could, as you said, he could have stopped it and gave Kovalev time to recover from the low blow. But if any time Ward went remotely to the body, anywhere near that belt line, any body shot he landed, Kovalev was trying to do a Bernard Hopkins and sell a low blow because he was gassed. And again, you can have all the strength and conditioning coaches you want. You could go out and run 25 marathons. The fact of the matter is, you can't deal with Ward on the inside. He can't deal with Ward on the inside. Ward gets up close. He tries to grab him, wrestle with him, tries to contain him. And Ward is just physically stronger than him on the inside. And by trying to wrestle with Ward and trying to contain him, he gets tired. That is just a physically draining fight. And Ward does that to a lot of people. He sucks the life out of his opponents. And he's in phenomenal shape. And he's used to fighting that type of fight, where his opponents are not used to fighting that type of fight. They're not ready for that. And this is the second time Kovalev fought Ward. He should have been ready for it. And Kovalev is a guy, he doesn't really throw those looping shots up close. He throws straight punches. And even when he lands body shots, he throws mid-range body shots. This guy needs space. He can't fight in close quarters. He just can't do it. And you mentioned about how he was following Andre Ward around the ring. The big problem is Andre Ward kept changing the look, kept changing the range. He would move to one spot, and he wouldn't stay there long. As soon as he saw that Kovalev was prepared for, getting set and being prepared for him, then he would just change the look again. And he constantly kept Kovalev shuffling his feet, which is something he doesn't like to do because it takes him a long time to set his feet and get comfortable and establish himself and establish his range. So if you don't allow him to establish his range and you keep changing the look on him, which is very hard to do, and not everyone can do it. A lot of guys tried to do it and they couldn't do it, but Hopkins couldn't do it. But Andre Ward can, and again, I think a lot of other fighters will look at this fight, these two fights, and they'll probably pick up a lot of things that they could do against Sergey Kovalev. But all in all, you made a fair point. If Tony Weeks did think that last punch was low, he was well within his rights to say, okay, Sergey, we're going to give you 5 minutes to recover, have a break in the action. But again, there was a lot of unanswered blows before that final low blow. And also, he was sitting in the ropes, and the ropes was kind of holding him up even before that. And he was bending over below the waist, which is illegal in the sport of boxing too. You're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to bend over below the waist, which is what Kovalev was doing. And it's just like, as I told you earlier, if a fighter throws a punch and his opponent leans forward, and then that punch lands behind the opponent's head, or ends up being a rabbit punch because the opponent leaned forward, then that's incidental contact. That's the opponent's fault because he moved forward. The same thing with Kovalev. If you're going to bend below the waist and your opponent's throwing punches at you, there's nowhere to go but low, pretty much, if you're bending over below the waist, because how are you going to hit him in the body if he's bent over below the waist? You know? So I thought the first two shots that were body shots were good, but the last one was low. But you could blame Kovalev for that because he was bent over below the waist. So that's just my take on it, man. I don't want to hog up the airways. I'll let you jump back in. Go ahead.
Okay, but given the fact, though, I mean, do you, now, hindsight being 20/20, do you really think the fight, I mean, admitted foul on the final shot. So, really, should this fight have been stopped?
Well, again, it's the way you interpret it, okay? Because do you say that even before that blow landed, that he was being held up by the ropes, so there could have been a knockdown? So if the thing is, if Tony Weeks does not rule it a knockdown, and he sees that final punch is a low blow, then he is well within his rights to stop the action and give Kovalev time to recover from that low blow. But the big question remains, did he see it in real time as low? Because I didn't see it in real time as being low. I could not tell 100% unequivocally that was a low punch. You said you could. I respect your opinion. You say, I believe you. I couldn't tell. That's number one. Number two, he's probably looking at the fighter's, upper body. He's looking at his face. A lot of times when a fighter's up against the ropes like that, you're not really looking down low. He's probably looking at his face. And because of how Kovalev was bent over, and if he bent over like that, and the referee's focused on looking at his head, seeing if his eyes are glossy or whatever, he may not be looking directly down there so he could see it. And all the other warnings, you could sit there and say that people were saying that Kovalev sat there and it was basically an Andrew Galata type thing where you're sitting him right in the genital area, right in the cup.
No,
because those trunks were pulled up very high. And he was told, shout out to Wingy Boxing because he said this, and I neglected to say this in two of my videos. Tony Weeks did say, okay, punches here are good. Punches here are good. And, the referee can say, that's close. Keep them up. But not basically indicate that it's low, but it's close of going low. So if you continue landing borderline shots, he can continue to warn you if you continue to land borderline shots. It's like when you go below, that's when it's like, okay, you can't do that. But if you're close to going low, but you're not quite going low, he can still say, keep him up. Keep him up. He's close there, borderline. He can say that stuff to you. Just make sure you're aware that, 1 inch lower, one half inch lower, it's going to be a low blow. So the whole thing is, that, he gave him 2 warnings. Yeah, but what type of warning? Were they stern warnings? Or were they just like, hey, you know what? These are getting low there. Keep them, close there. Keep them up. It wasn't like those were clear, clean, low blows.
Right.
Those were right on the belt line. And then, I only really saw one kind of stern warning. In this whole fight, I will say one thing. I saw one low blow during the fight earlier. It was below. It wasn't right in the cup, but it was still below the belt. Half of his fist was below the belt. So that was one low blow. That was the one warning. But after that, I don't think that he gave him a stern warning. I think like all the other punches were real close. So that was like the only really one stern warning. The other warning I don't think was a stern warning. You just say keep him up, keep up. Like if it's close to being low, you still sometimes get a warning. I've seen referees do that. Am I wrong? They've done that before.
I agree.
So there's different types of warnings you get throughout. You get a stern warning, and you're like, all right, get on, keep up, you're getting close there. You know what I mean? It's like, so you could just tell that Kovalev was trying to pull a Hopkins in this fight. I'm sorry, he was trying to pull a Hopkins in this fight. Any punch that was near his body, he was trying to sell a low blow. And there was one time Tony Weeks says, hey, that's not low, and it was clearly not low, and he was trying to sell it as a low blow. He was disgraceful in this fight, man. I'm sorry. I hate to criticize fighters, but I hate when you try, when people pay their money to see you fight, and if you're tired and you can't continue, you're hurt. You have every right to stop. That's your body. Right. You have to live your life after boxing. But to sit there and pretend, just like when Hopkins landed, with the whole thing with Chad Dawson, when we landed on his elbow, and then he said he landed on his shoulder. Basically, he said his shoulder was torn out. He tore his labrum or whatever, rotated cuff, whatever the case may be. You never saw an MRI. You never saw anything. I don't like those types of incidences where you try to pull the wool over the public's eye. Don't act like with Andre Jarrell in that Uzgataki fight. I didn't like that. You're dealing with someone else's livelihood, okay? So don't try to, weasel your way out or act your way out of a fight. I just don't like that. People pay good money for this pay-per-view. Fight the fight. If you don't want to continue, don't continue. It's fine. Do what Kell Brook did. Bow out gracefully. There's no shame in that. But don't try to, fool everybody and try to pull one over the ref's eyes. Because I hate seeing incidences like I saw with Uzgateki and Andre Jarrell. I hate those types of incidences, and I didn't want another one of those incidences to happen in this fight, to be quite honest with you. Yeah. And that's what I thought Kovalev was trying to do.
And to be fair to Tony Weeks, I think that and Andre Ward, this fight was going to be a nightmare to referee because both guys. I mean, like I said, Andre Ward fights on the inside. There were several fouls that took place on both ends. There were several rabbit punches. There were several punches that strayed below the belt. So it was a tough fight. And again, we watched the fight that I caught the last fight. I caught it at BW3s. My father and I went out and watched it last night, and that's really the only fight I caught on the pay-per-view. But so I couldn't hear a lot of what was going on, but it didn't seem that Weeks was really cautioning a lot for as much fouling that seemed to be going on. It didn't seem to, and I don't know if it really kind of got out of hand, but I think Weeks could have done a better job. That being said, that fight would have been a nightmare for anyone to referee.
Yeah. And the thing is this, if you can't fight on the inside and you try to do an Amir Khan or you try to do a Kell Brook or you try to do what Kovalev did, then, it's going to be tough for you. Yeah. And you're going to grab your opponent, pull his head down, and get him in headlocks, and he's going to be trying to throw punches, and you're pulling his head down. You run the risk of some of those punches straying low. Now, even with that, I still think they were on the belt line for the most part. I think they were on the belt line for the most part, and they did not go on the cup area. I just don't think that. That's just my opinion.
And
and those trunks were high. Trunks were high.
And that's what we didn't see either. I mean, I didn't get to see Weeks go in the dressing room, and even if I did, I didn't hear anything. You can't, when you're at a place like that, you can't hear anything. You're just kind of seeing the fight. Right.
No, before when they pulled them both to the center ring to touch gloves before the fight starts, Weeks distinctly, put his hand on Kovalev's trunks and said, "These are good. Shots here are good." Said it.
Gotcha.
He said it. Those trunks were high, Eric. They were really high. Go back and watch it and look at his trunks. They were high.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, we couldn't really hear it.
Well above the navel.
Yeah, we couldn't really hear like the instructions being given and everything like that, and so that was a tough part. Yeah. To hear he's already warned him for sure.
Shout out to Wingy Boxing because I wasn't even paying attention to it. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Until he pointed it out to me, and I went back and listened.
Now, how did you have the fight scored up to the time of the stoppage?
I had Ward up by a point 77-76.
You know what? It's funny. It
was close.
I had 68-65 for Kovalev, and I talked to Chakal from Tijuana. Yeah. he had the same. I think he had the same score as you. It was like reverse. I mean, it was like 67-66 or something like that.
67.
Very
66.
close. Yeah.
I'm sorry, 67-66. I meant to say.
No, that's fine. He had it very close as well, but he had it going for Ward. And a lot of people, this was the same way. Some people had it for Kovalev, some people had it for Ward. So it's all based on styles and what styles you like. Now, Robert, let me bring you in here. Give me your thoughts on the fight and, what you thought of the low blows and everything of that.
First of all, I'm in 100% agreement with both Tony Weeks and Beeb. They both judged it correctly. So,
listen to you.
Well, hey, Eric, if you don't want my opinion, I won't give it. But
somebody, why don't you mute Robert? All right, go ahead and put him on mute and let's talk some more.
No.
No way! Nobody agrees with me. You kidding me?
No. But first of all, no. Tony Weeks did the best job he could under the circumstances. I didn't have any distractions, so I clearly heard him say, "Hey, shots here are good."
Yeah.
And Andre Ward clearly heard that and took full advantage. And I've got to question Sergey Kovalev from now on because he looked absolutely awful in this fight. I had it scored 68-65 for Ward. Sergey Kovalev didn't do a whole lot, in my opinion, for this fight. And guys, continue. I've got to answer this.
All right. Yeah, so that's interesting, and that's another thing where, like I said, Robert has it 68-65 for Ward. But, yeah, I definitely had it 68-65 going the other way. So, yeah, it all depends.
Yeah, I had it 67-66.
Yeah. So let's talk about after the fight here.
67-66 I had.
Right. So let's talk about after the fight now.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Okay, go ahead. I'll tell you what. Go ahead with your take.
Okay. My mom's on vacation. I wouldn't ordinarily have to answer calls, but anyway, no, I thought Tony Weeks did a good job, but I've got to question Sergey Kovalev in the future. He looked absolutely pathetic in this fight. I thought Ward clearly won 5 of the 7 rounds, and of course, I didn't score the 8th round because they stopped it, but Andre Ward was in much better condition, and it honestly looked like Ward took this fight more seriously than what he did the first fight. And that's hard to say, but Andre Ward looked like he wanted the fight a lot more. And I've got a question in the future. Where does Sergey Kovalev go from here? Because he looked absolutely awful last night, in my opinion. And I'm the same guy that had the fight scored 8-4 for Kovalev in the first fight. So, for me to say that Kovalev looked awful, in my opinion, he looked awful. I thought Ward clearly won this fight, and had the fight would have continued, Andre Ward would have knocked out Kovalev cold. He was not in shape to go the 12 rounds.
Yeah, I think he was definitely tired. I mean, you could tell the round before that he was tired. You could see it. I mean, you could see it.
Yeah.
So, Robert, there's been a lot of talk about the announcers, the HBO announcers, and particularly Max Kellerman and all those guys. What were your thoughts on the announcing last night? Because you're a big fan of Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman, so I'd like to get your take.
I'm not a big fan of anybody. I just want them to do their job correctly. But 3 times last night, they stroked Roy Jones's ego. And then, of course, the whole thing during the Rigondeaux fight, which we haven't gotten into, that was, I couldn't believe how much HBO bent over to try to help the Nevada State Athletic Commission make the right decision. And they still screwed it up. And, it's, I mean, since when does a pay-per-view arm, a.k.a. Showtime or HBO, involve themselves in the story? To me, I love the British guys because you don't see Sky Sports involving themselves into the fight. We need more boxing people who do the fights and don't try to involve themselves in the story.
All right, let me just all right, so again, I didn't see it. I did see the Rigo fight, and I know it was to me it was clearly a late punch, clearly after the bell.
Of course it was.
But what did they say? What were the HBO? And I heard some scuttlebutt about this. But what did the HBO announcer say in regards to that?
Okay.
Okay.
First of all, I watched this twice. The punch was clearly after the bell. It should have been a disqualification for Rigsdale. The other guy would have been awarded the victory.
Sure.
Because it was obvious he could not continue. But the punch occurred after the bell. The referee went in there to break them up because previous to that last punch landing, Rigo was holding the guy behind the head and punching him while he was doing it. And Vic Dracula clearly stated, I went in there to break them up to stop the holding, and then he hit him after the bell. And then Bob Bennett, now I find this to be strange. Bob Bennett said, well, I wasn't even in the arena at the time this occurred. I had to be brought up to speed. I thought when you're the head of the Nevada State Athletic Commission and you're holding a major event, your attendance should be required, at ringside. That blew me away. And then he called the HBO truck, and the people in the truck said, oh, Bob, it occurred before the bell rang, not afterwards. It was clearly after the bell rang. And then for Jim Lampley to literally bend over and kiss Bennett's ass, it just blew me away. Why does HBO have to involve themselves in the story? It was a pathetic broadcast.
Yeah.
It was a pathetic broadcast. Beeb, you were at home. You heard this. What are your thoughts? Because clearly HBO tried to make themselves a part of the story here, and it was pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, a decision was made, and then Jim Lampley, found it in his rights to go and tell him, "Oh, are you sure? Are you sure? Listen again. Listen again. Listen again." Basically, they tried to convince or coerce them into saying the punch was after the bell, which it was after the bell. But again, both guys were throwing punches after the bell, and it was close, real close after the bell. I don't think it was like, a second or two after the bell. It was close, but it was after the bell. But I honestly thought it should be a no contest because both guys threw punches at the same time. One guy's punch landed, the other guy didn't. So it is protect yourself at all times, whether that be if someone's throwing a punch at you, either block or you punch at the same time as him and want your punch to get there before his gets to you. So I thought that it was a normal reaction from Rigsdale to punch because the punch was coming at him. It was the heat of battle. So it's incidental contact. So at the very least, I thought it should have been a no contest because of the circumstances and because it was really accidental. I don't think it was flagrant because it was in the heat of battle. With that being said, though, why did HBO and why did Jim Lampley find it in their rights to specifically hook him up to a headphone set and have him listen to it 10 times and basically say, well, you should review this again? It's like, do they have a dog in the race? Is it because they didn't want Rigsdale to be the victor in this fight? Or is it because they wanted it to be a disqualification, or at the very least they wanted it to be a no contest? Why did they have to involve themselves? As you said, Robbie, I've never seen it ever happen before, and I've never even seen instant replay in boxing ever used before. So, if you can use instant replay, then be consistent with it. Use it in all fights. Why not use it in the Darrell Uzgataki fight? So it was just total inconsistency, and it was just ridiculous how HBO and Jim Lampley went out of their way to sit there and play, the replay of this over and over again and basically say to Bob Bennett, I think you should go, investigate it further. Why do they care if it's investigated further? It's none of their business. It's not their problem who gets the decision or whatever the decision is, who wins and who doesn't win. It's not their job to worry about stuff like that. They're just there to broadcast the fight.
That's really fishy. I mean, it really is fishy. I mean, that's really bad. because it makes you, it makes you second guess their motives. I mean, that's all they should be doing is judging the fight, not judging the fight, but broadcasting the fight. So, yeah, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and go to the phones here. 812, you are live.
Hey, how you doing, Eric?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right. Number one, for anybody that thinks that Kovalev didn't get hit extremely low on the last shot's nuts. It was not on the belt. I mean, he had letters on the trunk below the belt that got hit. I mean, it should have been a warning. They should have gave him 5 minutes to recover from it. I mean, the other stuff was borderline. Andre Ward's known for that stuff. But the entire night was a mess. From the HBO guys, if I hear Roy Jones Jr. say that I would have been, kicked out of boxing for doing something like that, it's absolutely sickening because he had the Mondale Griffith thing. But he also doesn't bring up the fact that the way they bent over backwards to strip the lineal champion, Darius Michalczewski, and basically hand the belt to Roy Jones so he didn't have to go to Germany or have Michalczewski come over here.
Yep, I remember that.
So Roy Jones is a joke. We already know Max Kellerman's a joke. And Jim Lampley's seen his better days about 25 years ago. And that was doing college football, not boxing. But overall, I think the brunt of this falls on Rock Nation Promotions, which, if you saw the empty seats last night, which I'm sure you didn't see watching the TV, but I saw a lot of pictures. I mean, it was one of the probably the worst promoted big event I've ever seen.
Well, it's funny, and you brought up the promotion of this fight, and I'm hearing there was about 7,000 people there. When it's all said and done, those are the numbers that are going to come out for attendance. But the other thing, too, wasn't Andre Ward, and Beeb, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you saw the thing on the Internet just like I did. It was, I think Dan Raphael reported it via Twitter, that it was, I think Ward was guaranteed like $5 or $6 million for this fight. But then on Kovalev.
$6.5 million.
Yeah, and
$6.5 million.
And Kovalev, his purse is going to come out of pay-per-view, and it was going to come out of attendance. He was going to get a cut of both of those things.
Yeah, they basically screwed him over so he could get another shot.
Right, and the other thing was, like, Ward, like, they were going to do the HBO face-off, and Ward no-showed it, and they were really getting on Ward for, like, not promoting this fight and everything. It was, like, one of the worst promoted fights in recent memory of big fights, potentially big fights. Absolutely no one.
I got friends out there that said there was no billboards even.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah, there was one small billboard that was seen. That was it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they meant to do this. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, because I know you called last week, and I know you talked about Kovalev winning that fight. Overall, what did you think of Ward's performance? And what did you think what did you think of Kovalev's performance? Because I thought that Kovalev gassed right around the 5th or 6th round. And I don't know that it was a product of low blows. I don't know that it was a product of anything. And if it was, in everybody was talking about the low blows. Listen, what's the rule? If you get hit more than twice, you get one back. Kovalev wasn't doing that. So, so real quick, give me your opinion on that, on how you viewed Kovalev and Ward.
I think he got disconnected.
Did he? Mike, are you still there?
Yeah, I think he lost. Yeah.
Shoot.
I think he got disconnected.
All right.
Call back in, Mike, if you can.
All right.
You got disconnected, yeah.
Yeah. So, Mike, if you're there, call back. All right, so now let's go to 602. 602, you are live.
Hey, what's going on, fellas? It's Brandon in Phoenix.
Hey, Brandon, how are you?
What's up?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, man. Well, let me first start off by paying homage to Beeb for picking Ward. Again, I was somebody who was kind of on the fence on the first fight. I didn't really score it, but I didn't disagree with anybody who had a point one way or the other. But I was picking Kovalev going into this fight. So I'll tell you, man, from the get-go, Ward looked like he had his feet under him a lot better in this fight than he did the last fight. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, he looked a lot better, in a lot better shape,
yeah,
and it looked like he was more prepared.
Yeah, he just looked like a lot stronger, especially in his legs. Like his legs looked a lot better. They didn't look as shaky this fight. But you know what? From I thought at the time, at least after the 7th round, I had Ward up around. And I think 2 of the 3 judges had it that way, too. Now, with the low blows, this is my take on it. Obviously, the last punch that ended it was a low blow. I mean, that it just is what it is. But part of the problem was that when Ward hit him with those 2 shots on the belt line earlier in the round and Kovalev doubled over, that were not low blows, and Tony Weeks didn't step in or anything like that. See, Kovalev basically cried wolf earlier in the fight, and that's why Tony Weeks didn't step in at that point, I think. I think that's really what a story that a lot of people are missing.
Excellent point. Excellent point.
You know, because, I mean, look, when I watched it at first, you know, in the live action, I didn't think it was a low blow. You know what I'm saying? But then you get to see everything on you know what I'm saying, on Instagram and Twitter and everything like that, and they highlight the punch. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Calm down from the emotion of it. We see what it is. Now, you know, obviously the stoppage was bad, and I thought that from the get-go when I saw it live, because basically the ropes were holding Kovalev up. So at a minimum, he should have at least got a count from there. Should have been counted as a knockdown. Just Weeks wasn't going to hit Ward for the foul. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, really, the people that are having this, you know, issue today on Twitter and everything like that, it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous, man. Your issue is with Weeks. It really shouldn't be with Ward. Because all the stalling that people are talking about, I didn't see it that way. I don't think there was this egregious amount of low blows or anything like that. There was one low blow at the end of the fight. Kovalev tried to play off some other shots that were borderline as low blows, and it didn't work out for him. So to me, that's really what the big issue is here. And then, you know, the last thing I want to comment on is that a lot of people, especially in the boxing media, they do this thing where they belittle fighters all the way up to the point of the fight, just like they did with Ward. So when Ward went in to fight Triple G, they say, oh, he should fight Kovalev. He should move up. He moves up. He gets in the fight with Brand, and then he fights Pereira, a good contender. Then he fights Brand, you know, tune-up fight. Then he fights Kovalev. Didn't really take that long for that to happen. You know what I'm saying? And then after the fight, they say, oh, you know, he'll never fight him again, and this and that and that. And they carry that narrative all the way up to the fight. And then what they're going to do is they're going to not give him any credit for this. And it's just a never-ending cycle. And this is what happens. You see, this is part of the reason why Mayweather-McGregor is going on right now. It's because people never give Floyd any credit for anything he ever did in between fights. They say, oh, this guy's scared, he's scared. You know, and they keep playing that narrative to the point where people start really thinking that they're not that good. You know, so it's just the way I see it, man. What do you guys think?
I couldn't say it any better myself, man. You hit the nail right on the head, man. Excellent analysis.
You know, I mean, that's just the way I see it. And I mean, there's people out there. I'm not going to get into the names of the medium, but we all know who they are, and it all sticks out like a sore thumb. And it's really sad that boxing fans, you know, have really become like split. It's like left and right. You know what I'm saying? Because if you know 2 things about a boxing fan, or you follow him on Twitter, or you follow the writer or whatever, you can almost tell what he's going to say about this event or that event, depending on who's affiliated with it. You know what I'm saying? So I just think it's just sad, man, and we just need to get some more objectivity in the sport. You know, as far as Ward goes in the rest of his career, the only fight I think he really needs to take is the Stevenson fight. And then, you know, if he wants to stick around and maybe try to take on one of them boys like Better Beeve or Savajnik or, you know, the slew of good contenders at the 175, I'd be happy with that. I don't want to see him go to cruiser. I don't really want to see him go to heavy to try to fight a Tony Bellew or something like that. And then with Kovalev, man, I'd like to see Kovalev come back against the winner of the Monahan-Brown fight.
I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. Do you think, though, I mean, it sounds like Ward is going to make a move up to cruiserweight. Do you think that, I mean, do we need to see him against Adonis Stevenson? I mean, is that fight really, do you think that's a competitive fight? Because I personally, I don't think it's that competitive.
Yeah.
But
Eric,
Go ahead, guys.
I firmly believe that since he's got 3 of the belts, he should have the opportunity to be the complete king in the division. But I don't know with the boxing politics, the way it works these days, whether he will be given that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, Rock Nation Sports is on its last legs. And unless he's willing to sign a contract with Al Heyman and the PBC, so he could fight, Thomas Williams, Marcus Brown, Archer Betterbeeve, and Stevenson. I don't see Andre Ward is in a very difficult position because with his promotional situation being the way that it is, unless Rock Nation Sports folds and he becomes a free agent, I don't know where he goes to from here. I like the Monahan winner of that fight. I also want to see him fight a guy like Joe Smith. I think Joe Smith deserves a big fight. I mean, he beat Fonfora. He eliminated Bernard Hopkins. He's probably going to do well in July. I mean, there's another guy that deserves a big fight, but because of who Andre Ward is affiliated with, I don't know if he's going to get another big fight at light heavyweight. Are we going to see Kovalev Ward 3? I don't want to see that. I mean, I already read in the paper today Kathy Duva is going to file a protest and try to get a third fight. I don't want to see a third fight. Last night's performance proved Sergey Kovalev is not ready or can't handle any more of Andre Ward.
Yeah, I think that trilogy's been settled. And tomorrow... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, Robbie mentioned that Rock Nation Sports is on its last legs. And I have to respectfully disagree with them because Jay-Z's worth almost $1 billion. And you have to understand that they are involved not just in boxers. They're involved in other sports, other forms of entertainment. That's a big company. It has a big umbrella. And,
I understand that, Joe.
Boxing. Yeah, that's why they were able to pay him $6.5 million because they got a lot of overhead. They got a lot of revenue coming in from other sources. That's the thing. And you may be correct from the boxing aspect. They're not probably making a ton of money on the boxing that they have or the boxers that they have. But you have to look at the other revenue streams that they have. It's not just boxing that they have. They have other things going on for themselves. So that's what I think you have to look at.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't surprise me if they folded the boxing end of it because they do have a lot of baseball players and basketball players, I think, signed on with them in revenue streams, like I said, from other sports. And Jay-Z, I mean, he's a billionaire, there's no question.
Yeah.
But as far as their boxing goes, they just lost Miguel Cotto, which, you can argue is not that big of a loss. But, Andre Ward doesn't sell a lot of tickets. So, it's
true. He's not a household name like that.
No question. I mean, no question about it. Not even near one. And this is the best fighter on the world.
They could try to build him up, but they could try to build him up, and maybe they could do something. But they're basically paying him too much. Is really what it boils down to at the end of the day.
Well,
for them to actually make money on it. I don't know for them if it's more just a branding exercise.
Well, yeah, I mean, they can try. I mean, they can try to build him up. But the point is, I mean, he doesn't participate in press events. He blocks certain people, and he doesn't want to be built up. I mean, look at Floyd. Just take Floyd Mayweather, for example, and, where people, you either love him or you hate him, but you watch. He's got, and he does interviews, man. I mean, he's out there with the media all the time. He always does these events. You don't see Andre Ward blew off the face-off thing. And you may think, well, so what? But that's all part of, that's all part of media. And
that's part of it. You're 100% right. In a lot of ways, he's really got himself to blame as far as where his career is at from a standpoint of how popular he is and everything like that. I've seen some people saying that he should be a crossover star, and, being a crossover star is almost nobody ever just deserves that. You really got to work at it. It takes a long time, and for somebody like him, it just wasn't going to come naturally. He wasn't the personality that a De La Hoya or Sugar Ray Leonard was, and he's not going to be a stereotypical character that an Adrian Broner is or a Floyd Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? When I actually listen to Andre Ward just talk about boxing, I like it. I like some of the interviews that he does with Fight Hype or whoever, and they're just talking about boxing and how he felt about the fight and his approach to the sport. From the way that he interviews, it comes across nice to me because I'm in the boxing. But he doesn't do flashy things to get other people involved, and he doesn't have like that Sugar Ray Leonard charisma. I mean, if Ray Leonard showed up now at a supermarket or something like that, people would be excited to see him. Andre Ward just doesn't give you that vibe.
No, he doesn't come off as the approachable type for sure. Whereas De La Hoya, Sugar Ray Leonard, you kind of felt like you knew those guys. I mean, they really did a great job in self-promotion, got the right people behind them, did media. Ward's not really like that. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying that he's not the most marketable guy. And there's a big difference.
True. Cool. Last question, and I'll get off the phone with you guys. What do you think? Let's say if Stevenson and Ward come to an agreement, right? If Ward said, fuck this guy, I'm the person that beat Kovalev, you know what I'm saying? I put in more work than you in the past, 2 years or however long Stevenson hasn't been fighting anybody. And he says, you got to come to Oakland. I don't want to come to Montreal. What do you think happens in the boxing media? Do you think they try to slay him again for never trying to not leave Oakland?
I don't think it matters, honestly. I don't think it matters. And I wouldn't, why should he go to Montreal? I mean, I think he does fairly well in the arena. What is it, the Golden State Arena? What is that, Robert? What is that, Oracle?
Yeah, Oracle Arena.
Oracle.
They have 20,000 seats, and whenever he fights in Oakland, at least 10,000 show up.
Yeah,
Andre Ward is now the man in the division. If Adonis Stevenson wants to fight him, he's going to have to come to Oakland, California. Andre Ward.
Now, real quick, Robbie. Now, I agree with you, but there was a lot of people who, when Ward fought Dawson and didn't want to go to Montreal to fight Boutte at the end of the Super Six, thought that was the wrong mistake and thought that was a bad move by him not traveling after he was the person that won the Super Six and Boutte was on the outside cleaning up all the second-rate competition while Ward was fighting the top contenders. So, if it does happen, or if it doesn't happen, or if that's a sticking point or something like that, I just want you guys to watch how that plays out in the media.
Oh, no, I already know that you're exactly right on how it's going to go because that's exactly what they're going to say. But let's face it, Adonis Stevenson doesn't fill up the Bell Center either. The Bell Center has more seats than the Oracle Arena, and Adonis Stevenson has never filled that place up. So if we want to talk about who sells more tickets, they're about equal in that department because Adonis Stevenson has never been in front of a sellout crowd, and neither has Andre Ward.
True. Real quick, what do you guys think of the Rigondeaux thing as far as, not how HBO's involvement, but just, do you think it should have been a no contest, a KO, or what? Because I think it probably, the punch was after the bell, but they were both throwing punches.
They were.
Yeah, I think it should have been a disqualification, but it's tough because the referee, this wasn't Rigo's fault. The referee was out of position. Once you hear the 10-second, the referee comes in and he positions himself to stop that fight, to stop the action at the end of the round. And he wasn't there, and he got hit. And
Eric,
what can you do?
Are you saying that Rigondeaux should have got disqualified?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I only saw, and I was only privy to see the only thing I saw was the end, where he actually.
Okay.
I just saw the end of the punch, where I heard the bell, then I saw the punch, and that was it. So it's a tough call. I mean, because it's not really Rigo's fault. It's the ref's fault because he was out of position.
I think it's a little. I just think that it should be a no contest. Because, like I said, when Rigondeaux threw his punch, the other guy was throwing a punch too. So it wasn't even like a Darrell Usagegi thing where Darrell was in a defensive posture, trying to kind of flip shots or whatever. We're doing a bad job of trying to flip shots and then getting flipped after the bell a little bit. Even though I don't think however you say his name, really should have got. I agree with Bebo on that 100%. Darrell, they tried to sneak their way into that title, but they were exchanging blows at that time, both of them. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I see it. And the other guy got clipped and he got knocked out. Who the hell knows what Rigondeaux? You never know what the fuck he's going to do. But anyway, you guys have a great show, man. I'll talk to you on the next one. All right, brother?
Thank you very much,
all right,
man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon.
And Brandon started out the call by paying homage to Beeb. But I'll tell you what. Now, I don't give Beeb a lot of credit because, quite frankly, I never think he deserves it. But I will give him credit in this instance. Even though he did back off of it, I will give him credit in saying he was the one that said Andre Ward was going to knock off. He was going to knock out Sergey Kovalev. Yeah, he hedged it, but I will give you credit. He said it, and nobody bought it, including me. But, of course, the bet was a push because he hedged it. But I'm just
possible.
Yeah,
it's possible.
I said it was possible. I said it was possible.
There it is. Hey.
I said it was possible.
Got to respect
no,
the beef.
beef industries are still alive and well, so don't worry about that.
The fiduciary advice that you get from beef is legendary.
Yeah, we take care of our investors. We don't leave them up to dry, man.
773, you are live. 773.
Hello?
773.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
What's up?
Yes, go.
Hello.
Hello.
You're on. Go ahead. Yes.
Leo Robbie, so pushy.
This is Dale.
Dale, what's happening, man?
Hello, Dale. What's up?
How's it going, guys? Yeah, sorry,
Good,
I didn't get that little beep that usually gives me.
That's okay.
Yeah, Dale in Chicago, yep.
Yeah.
Good show so far, guys. Thanks for doing this on Father's Day.
Absolutely.
I think Beav and Eric, right, I believe?
Yeah.
And, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Including Warden Kovalev. Yeah, nice, Robbie. So, no, this has been interesting. And Robbie, I'm glad your commentary on the HBO calls commentating is interesting because I had something going on last night. I missed it, but I rewatched it this morning, and the only feed I got was a Russian feed, so I didn't understand any of the announcing. And it's pretty refreshing, actually, sometimes to watch basically in silence, right? And but in any case, the Ward Kovalev fight. I mean, it was great up until the stoppage, which I thought was questionable, as many did.
Yeah.
And I had Ward up by one. I had Ward up by one round. So
all right.
I at that point, and I'm one that had Kovalev winning the first fight. I had that first one I had.
I did too. I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a draw plus knockdown, so I had Kovalev by one. Yeah, so.
Uh-huh.
And then this time around, though, I had Ward up by one. But anyway, I just was wondering. I know you guys touched on it a little bit, and I came in about 15 minutes in, so if you touched on this deeper, I'm sorry I didn't hear. But why don't you at least give the 5 seconds? I mean, if you're getting gelated in the gonads 4 or 5 times, don't you get? I mean, I know it wasn't really that low, but I don't know, low enough where I thought you maybe give him the 5 minutes.
Well, Dale, I thought Kovalev had his fronts way too high. Number one,
Fair.
Yeah, and I don't know. Well, since you didn't watch it in English, I don't know if you heard Tony Weeks say during the instructions, "Hey, any punches here are good," So.
I missed that. All right. Well,
yeah.
There you go.
So, you need to find an English version so you can hear the instructions.
Yeah. Oh, I will. I'll be able to watch it. Yeah, like HBO will air it next week, and I'll watch that.
Okay.
Again, but I just need to find anything to just
if you can find the whole thing on YouTube, their performance last night as broadcasters was absolutely pathetic. We paid $65 to listen to themselves pump up each other's egos and try to bend over backwards to help out the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Mm-hmm. I didn't know replay was involved in the sport of professional boxing. Their performance last night was pathetic.
Yeah. Sounds like it, yeah. And the Rigo fight too. I mean, again, same feed. So I'm just like, oh yeah, that seemed late. I don't know. I didn't. So I didn't get all that whole side of it either, which I
would.
But again, Eric made a great point though. Ref's out of position. So I mean, I thought that was a really good point you made, and not necessarily Rigo's fault.
Yeah.
So
I mean the punch is on its way.
Maybe no decision might have been the right move. Yeah, totally. And I think maybe no decision might have been the right call there. I think
either a no decision or no contest.
Yeah, that's what I meant. No contest. Sorry. Yeah. Thank you. Anyway, but it was fun. Those are only 2 I caught so far. But hey, busy weekend, But
I hear it.
And congrats to Beeb Industries. Stock is rising there. Shooting up the NASDAQ there, Beeb Industries.
Yeah.
We're
doing it, man. We're making money for our investors. That's what we do here.
Yeah. The E.F. Hutton of boxing picks.
There you go.
Indeed Talks. People listen.
All right.
That's right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, Dale. Thanks a lot for the call, man. Awesome. Dale from Chicago, man. From Chicago. All right, now we're going to go to area code 206. 206, you are live.
Hello, you got me? Can you pick me up?
I gotcha.
Hello?
Hello.
Loud and clear. Come on in.
Yeah, this is Kevin from Seattle.
Kevin, all the way from
welcome
Seattle.
Aboard, Kevin.
Nice.
Yeah, I called you guys a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, I watched the fight last night. There was a caller a couple of calls ago. I really can't expand much on what he had to say. I mean, he said pretty much everything that I thought about the Ward-Kovalev fight. I thought the last fight Kovalev had won, that Ward got the benefit of a lucky decision, although it was it was close enough that I didn't get really too upset about it. And I had Ward even at the time of the stoppage. I think the stoppage was a little early, but Kovalev wasn't going to win that fight.
No,
I mean that's what I got to say about that. Something that was interesting to me that you guys maybe it was the last caller or the caller before that brought it up was the Rigondeaux fight, or however you properly say his name, right?
It's Rigondeaux, yeah.
Rigondeaux, okay. When that happened, I was watching Draculich, who I have found very little reason to not like over the years, right? And what was interesting to me, when he went to talk to whoever was the bureaucrat from Nevada, it looked to me like his hands were shaking, right? Which signals to me that he had a really important decision to make that he didn't want to screw up. And I thought it was really interesting, because I've never seen this before, that he consulted the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and then he consulted Robert Byrd, who I don't know, but I'm guessing they know each other for a lot of years.
Well, they've been
like
referees
or something, right?
They've been referees in Nevada for years, yeah.
Right. So here's a guy who's got to make a really important decision. He doesn't want to get it wrong, and he slows down, and he starts consulting the guys around him that he's worked with for years. I thought that was pretty sharp. What was really interesting to me, and what I'm wondering what you guys think about, is they also consulted the replay. When have you seen a replay decide a boxing match before?
Yeah.
Is this a new thing?
Well,
is that
well,
precedent?
see, that's
a conscious decision on Draculich's part? If so, I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's what we've been talking about through most of the show. Now, I don't blame Vic Draculich for going to talk to his boss, because Bob Bennett is his boss. So that's who he needs to talk to. And, of course, that way he can leave it in Bob Bennett's hands, because ultimately that's who makes a decision on a case like this. But I thought the mistake was made here. When do you involve the television people who are televising your fight? When do you actually pick up the phone and call the people and say, well, can I see a replay? That has never been done in the history of boxing. You know what? That's going to set a horrible precedent in the future, guys. Watch this in the future. If something else happens in Nevada, California, New York, you watch. The people in charge of those commissions are going to say, well, this fight is being televised. Let's get the TV point of view. Let's look at a replay. This opens up a Pandora's box here that I'm not necessarily sure that we want to deal with for those of us that watch boxing or do shows like this or in the media. I mean, don't you think this opens up a big can of worms that now can't be closed?
Can I jump in? Let me jump in here real quick. okay, so he goes and consults the replay. He goes and looks at the replay. Granted, there is no replay. Why is this such a bad thing, though? Because if he wants to get the call correct, why is this such a bad thing? I mean, wouldn't you rather have the correct call than than him just going on a gut instinct? I'd rather have the correct call.
Eric, I'm not saying this
about it.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I'm sorry. The bad thing about it is you either do it all the time, not just sometimes, because there's so many other situations where instant replay would have been great, and it was never used, and they've never used it before.
But maybe this was an off-the-cuff thing.
You either say we're going to do this. It probably was, but I think that part of it was a good thing. But the really bad part of it here is being assisted by the broadcast team, which is really supposed to have no dog in the race. It's not their job to do that. That's the big issue.
I think that's the bigger issue.
I still have an issue with, and the problem is it just seems unfair that you did it for this fight. And because why did you do it for this fight? Because it was a big event, and you didn't do it for other fights because maybe you didn't think the fights were as significant. So that type of precedence where you're picking and choosing, just like the WBC with VADA. You know, some fights you didn't allow happen, and some fights you did. You got to be consistent. That's the whole thing, and that's the big problem with this sport is it's never consistent, and that's why you have the claims of corruption and bias. Because you either do it all the time or you don't do it at all. That's just the way. And I know that seems to be extreme because using the all or none theory that isn't always the greatest thing to do. Because if you can do some good, that's great. But the problem in this situation is it implies that you're singling out certain fights and certain fighters, and that will indicate to other people that you're showing favoritism to this particular event, and you're not being consistent with this type of action in other events. That's my beef with it.
But hang on here.
I have no problem.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, Kevin, go.
Go. Sorry, Kevin. Yeah.
Okay. So this is all these things that you guys are saying all occurred to me, and this is what I find really interesting. And I want to say that I agree with. I think that was Beeb who was talking last. I agree. But what I've got to say about it is this: maybe in the heat of the moment, I mean, I don't know how many times this has had an opportunity to occur. Which refs have thought of it before and were rejected? I mean, in the moment, the ref is the boss. I mean, the other guy, the Nevada State guy, may have influence on that guy's career as a ref through he gets the fight or he doesn't. But unless I'm incorrect, and I could be, the ref is the final arbiter in the ring. So that said, maybe Draculich decided to take a risk and try to set a precedent. Hopefully, in the future, they will, this will become a trend, or perhaps even with some regulation behind it. I totally agree that the replay should not be associated with the broadcasters.
Look,
no question.
I've got no problem with replay. But don't involve the people that are paid to call the fight. If boxing is going to have a replay,
that's what I just said.
Yeah. If boxing is going to have any kind of replay, it needs to be separate because watching Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman fall all over themselves last night to help Bob Bennett, it was a disgrace.
Well, I tell you what, I completely disagree with both of you guys. I disagree with both of you guys. Because HBO has got about 50,000 cameras there watching the fight. So, if anything, you need to go to their angles and figure out where the foul occurred, when the foul occurred, and how the foul occurred. And with the state commissions, if they mandate it and you're only using their camera, chances are they're not going to have the same setup everywhere. They're not going to have the same setup at every fight in Nevada. So, I think, if anything,
could you get an HBO feed?
That's what I'm saying.
That goes to an independent judge, something like that. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I'm getting at,
I don't even hate if they go to the truck.
It's pretty cool that somebody took the initiative to set the precedent.
Right, absolutely.
Because now we're talking about it, aren't we?
Absolutely, and I think it should be a precedent.
Yeah,
I think it should be.
Problem.
Go ahead.
This is the problem, though. This is the problem. he already, conversed with the HBO truck, and they already showed him the replay. And he talked to the HBO truck, and they said, yeah, it was before the bell. So he already used HBO in that regard. Like, he asked them, was it after the bell, was it before the bell? And they said it was before the bell. So then, after that, Lampley kept, basically having him listen to it over and over and over again until he got the result that he wanted. And that's where I think the problem lies, because if he already, conferred or basically talked to people from the production team and talked to people in the truck, in the production truck, and got the answers that he needed and wanted, then why did Lampley have to sit there and second guess him after the decision was announced?
That's my problem with
because
the whole thing.
When the decision was announced,
That's been my whole objection to this. Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman fell all over themselves last night.
That was wrong. 100% wrong. They should not have interjected themselves.
He grabbed the headset because Jim Lampley does not work in the production truck, and neither does Max Kellerman. Okay, so when you go to a doctor, you don't ask the lady at the front desk to do the test on you, or you ask the doctor to do the test on you. So Bob Bennett was already talking to somebody in the production truck. So why does Jim Lampley have to go and grab a set of headphones basically in the arena while the crowd's so loud and screaming and cheering, and he puts another set of headphones on him, and he says, listen again, 2 or 3 times. And Bob Bennett said, I can't hear it. And then Jim Lampley goes, oh, well, I encourage you to go back and grab a tape of it and investigate it further. It's like, Jim, what are you doing here? You
stay out of it.
It seems like you're not happy with the decision. Just like if you're not happy with the decision, then it is what it is. Why does it bother you so much that Rigondeaux got the knockout victory? Why do you care if you're not emotionally attached to either fighter? That's the problem. That's the discrepancy here, in my opinion.
Do you think that it was because he was emotionally attached to one fighter or another, or do you think it was because he just wanted to be part of the action because this is what he does for a living?
I think he may have been trying to be,
whatever the case
honestly,
may be,
he may have been trying to be helpful.
It could be either or. It could be.
Yeah, that's kind of. I mean, I'm not willing to. I'm just not willing to write off everything as nepotism and one hand washes the other in corruption.
I think he thought he was doing the right thing.
They're good at their job, man.
But again, this is the thing. We have to look at the history. They took Rigondeaux off their network and basically said he will never fight on our network again. Those were their words. Those were HBO's words.
Who makes that decision? So then who sets that precedent? Is it the talent or is it the management?
It was basically the management. They took him off HBO.
So Lampley and the broadcast team are the management?
No, but
they have a microphone in their ears. And a lot of times, they're being told to say stuff. Am I saying that they were being told to say that? No. But again, there is a history of them not liking Rigondeaux's style. They said that. They specifically took him off the network. And then Bob Arum dropped him because he could not get him on a network, a major network. That's what was said. That was in a press release. Okay? So, by doing this, it just seems kind of fishy because they've never done this for any other fighter. There's been plenty of bad decisions on the network. There's been plenty of missed calls. And they were never adamant with anybody. They were never this adamant with everyone else. Can I factually say that was the case? Absolutely not. But there is a history. And you open the door to controversy because you have a history with this guy, and it's not good.
And remember,
that's well said.
And remember 2 years ago when he was on the Cotto Canelo undercard, Harold Letterman made a big deal about how boring the guy was and how he would never judge another one of his fights. And so HBO has a history with this guy. Okay, you know what? We don't like this guy. We're going to try and screw up his career every time we're stuck putting him on our air. They've made that clear.
Yeah. I mean,
that's true.
This is the thing too, right? If you don't like how a fight's going, like when you watch fights on Showtime, you watch fights on ESPN, you know, they'll say things like, "Oh, there's not a lot of action here," oh, whatever. But HBO, Harold Letterman, Jim Winfrey, they'll sit there and say, "Oh, this is a stinker. I wish this fight would be over now." Like, you cannot get that emotionally involved. That's what a fan would say. When you're broadcasting an event, you are not supposed to say things like that, and they are so overt about particular fighters, particular styles they don't like. Oh, he's going to stink out the joint. Larry Merchant used to say, is it the 12th round yet? It's like you don't say things like that when you're... Al Bernstein never says things like that. People on Showtime never say things like that. Like, even Teddy Atlas will say,
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, man. Oh, wait, let me stop you for a sec. Because, look, I mean, all of these guys, from time to time, I throw my phone across the room and totally just go, that was unfair, bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Each and every one of them. Now, there are ones that I agree with more than others and da-da-da-da-da, but, I have a hard time just, totally lambasting these guys. I hate them all. Every one of them. Worst, right? I hate Larry Merchant from time to time. They're in their turn, right? So, I mean, they go one way. I think they're all guilty of it to one extent or another.
Well, I respect your opinion, but in my opinion, I think HBO is the worst at it, and I think they're the most overt at it. And the things they say, it's just totally uncalled for. Oscar De La Hoya comes out to mariachi music, and Larry Merchant has to say, "Oh, this music stinks." Why would you say something like that? Why? Totally uncalled for.
He was half-assed drunk, probably.
Yeah.
well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I like mariachi music. I'm half Mexican,
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'd kick the shit, but whatever.
I hate to bring this
when
up,
you're broadcasting a fight, I mean, I've never heard anyone say, "Oh, is it the 12th round yet? Oh, I can't wait for this to be this to be over." It's just like they're just so overt about it. I'm not saying other broadcasters don't criticize. They're just so over the top with it. That's my point.
Just very disrespectful. Sure.
Yeah.
It's true, and I mean, I have a lot of agreement for what you got to say. I think it's just part of the current culture to tell you the truth. Go tell that to all journalists. Where's the objectivity? It doesn't exist anymore. But anyway, I'm going off on some weird shit. So that's really all I had to say. Thanks a lot for taking my call, and I like you guys' program a lot. There's another podcast out there that some of you guys used to be involved with that. When I come here, I feel like I get to hear the adults talk about shit. Right on.
Thank you very much.
That,
we try to do our best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great.
I don't know if you guys are on page.
Oh.
Let us know.
Okay, what is that now?
Do what, Kevin?
I said if you, I mean, are you guys on Patreon? Do you got other shit going? I mean, let us know. I had actually had trouble finding the broadcast. Like when I went to YouTube, I tried to click on you, and it was just giving me old broadcasts. And then I go to Blog Talk. I had to actually Google the name of the show.
No, Ringside. Go to ringsidereporter.com is our website, and you can always either watch the show. This week, unfortunately, I'm in Florida, so we have a bad internet connection here. We couldn't do video, but anytime you want to see our shows or anything, it's ringsidereporter.com, and that takes you straight to it. Or you can go to beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com, and that takes you to all the shows as well. So you'll never be without a show if you just go to ringsidereporter.com.
Right.
And what about our Twitter feeds?
Thanks, guys.
At Ringside73. That'll take care of you, too.
Oh, I don't do that shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, come on. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Social media, baby. Get in the game.
Twitter.
Get in the game, baby. Get in the game.
I'm chicken.
All right, Kevin, man. Thanks for calling. Good deal, man. Yeah, so always remember, so you don't have to look for us, man. Ringsidereporter.com, you'll find us. And Kevin had mentioned Patreon. If we were going to do Patreon, I don't see us doing Patreon, man. I really don't. I don't like the idea of people having to pay for content, especially when you guys are getting it free now. It's all free content.
I mean, like I always say, we're not a pay-per-view podcast. We do it for free.
Yeah, I mean, we we like to entertain you guys, and hopefully for a couple hours each week we can entertain you. We're not out there with a tin cup or anything like that, and so we don't ask you for any money. The only thing we ask you for is likes, and go subscribe to us on iTunes, go visit our websites, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but as far as going on to Patreon and stuff like that, I don't think so. Not right now anyway.
No,
I don't see it. B, what about you? You going on Patreon anytime soon? You taking us to Patreon? I'm not going to Patreon.
Nah, man. I mean, what do I have that's really worth money, man? I'm just a voice, but a guy with an opinion.
Yeah, that's us,
man. You shouldn't have to pay and listen to my opinion.
There you go.
I'll give it to you willingly.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
That's it.
One other thing on the HBO stuff before we move on. Twice last night they mentioned Daniel Franco, who is the unfortunate fighter that got KO'd a couple of weeks ago in Iowa and now is in a induced coma.
Yeah.
The HBO broadcast didn't bother to bring that up. I mean, Michael Buffer mentioned it twice, but if you watch that broadcast last night and you don't know who Daniel Franco is, you're probably like, well, what is he talking about? They didn't bring that up once. I mean, that's disgraceful. I mean, it's a horrible situation, but you could have shed some light on it and said, in case you don't know who this guy is, this is what happened, this is why this is being brought up. They didn't mention that once. They did a horrible job last night. It's one of the worst HBO broadcasts I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh, that's so harsh. Harsh.
They've been off their game for a long time now, man. I have to be honest. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, man, last night's the worst. They better step up their game before September 16th, or that's going to be a disaster too.
Area code 602. 602, you are live. 602. Going once. Going twice. 602 is a no-show.
Gone.
All right. Maybe we'll go back to him. Maybe not. We're running out of time. All right. So Guillermo Rigondeaux with a fourth. What is that? What was a fourth round? What round did he knock him out?
That
was a first round knockout.
That was in the first round. Wow.
First round knockout.
Yeah.
When was the last time Rigondeaux had a first round knockout?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Probably never.
Yeah, no doubt.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't either. But there you go. Controversial, not without controversy. All right, let's think about the undercard here. Dimitri Bivol versus Cedric Agnew. Bivol wins via fourth round TKO over Cedric Agnew. Bivol could potentially be a challenger to Ward. Beeb, is that a possibility? I mean, obviously it's a possibility, but do you think it, number one, does it happen? Number two, is it worth happening?
I don't think it happens right away. I think it's quite possible if Ward does stay at 175 for about three or four more fights. It's definitely possible. Maybe the end of next year or the beginning of 2019, quite possibly. I think that Bivol needs about 3 or 4 more fights to really develop a little bit more. Did a good job last night with Agnew. Agnew is definitely the type of guy that can make you look bad. Definitely he shells up a lot, and he's hard to hit with clean shots. But Bivol was definitely showing his patience. He was definitely varying up the punch attack, and he was opening up things for himself, and he was pacing himself very well and didn't really waste too many shots and wasn't overly aggressive. And it really looks like he's a really sharp, clean, hard puncher. So, he's definitely going to be someone to watch, but why rush him? Why rush him? He still only has about, 18 or 19 fights. So I like to see a guy with about 23, 24 fights, 25 fights start getting title shots. I wouldn't put him in there with Ward right now if it was me.
Yeah, I think you're probably right here. Robert, what were your thoughts on Bivol?
I think he's got a lot more work to do. He's 11-0 now with 9 knockouts. I think he needs at least 3 or 4 more fights, although the WBA in their infinite wisdom has made him the mandatory challenger for Ward. I don't know how long Ward can avoid his various mandatories, but if you can't avoid it, I would avoid it because this guy's not ready for Ward. I mean, he's got the potential.
WBA is a fucking idiot.
That's correct.
WBA is a fucking idiot.
That is correct. No, I don't know how the mandatories work. I mean, because he holds 3 belts, so I don't know in what order he's got to take care of them. But hopefully you can put the WB off for maybe another year.
There you go. And then a couple more fights here. We had, let's see here, Tyrone Zouge versus Paul Smith. This was in Germany. Tyrone Zouge, and I'm probably butchering this guy's name, won via unanimous decision, 119-108, all 3 times, so unanimous. And this is for Zouge's WBA regular super middleweight title, of course, as opposed to the irregular middleweight title. Pablo Cesar Cano versus Fidel Maldonado, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. Maldonado won a split decision over Cano, 97-92, 96-93, and 97-92. Brandon Rios and Aaron Herrera fought earlier in the week. Brandon Rios scored a 7th-round TKO over Aaron Herrera. I don't know about you, but I don't want to see Rios fight anymore. Did anybody after that performance want to see Rios fight? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the minority. I don't know, but what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I wasn't too thrilled about it.
No, I've had enough of Bam Bam. Although since he's with the PBC now, watch them stick him in there with somebody. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Victor Ortiz because they're both pretty messed up. But other than that, I've seen the last of Brandon Rios.
Yeah, I would go along with that too. All right, let's go back to the phones here. 708, you are live.
Gentlemen, what's happening? Happy Father's Day. How you doing, Beeb, Robbie, and the host with the most, Eric? How you guys doing?
Good, man.
We're doing good, John. How are you?
Going on?
Well, first off, I'm picking feathers out of my mouth. All that crow with the Kovalev 8th round KO pick. I mean, I got the round right, so I'll give myself a little credit on that. But man, I'll tell you what. I usually don't take excuses as really take too much factor in excuses. But when I heard Ward didn't do any road work for that last fight, and now I see this man showed me levels that I didn't see. I was saying Ward is falling off. He's diving in head first. He has no angles. Ward showed like he looked like a completely different fighter last night. Sidestepping those big punches and working that body. Now, I will say, I did see a couple of low blows, but I boxed. And where I come from, if the ref doesn't help you out, you help yourself out. Right. And if Kovalev should have just cracked, gave Ward a crack if he needed a break below the belt, but he didn't. And that right hand, wow. I think he threw maybe 15 right hands in that first fight. Maybe he was just saving them for there because that was one hell of a right hand. Put Kovalev on roller skates, and that was about it. I mean, because could have Tony Weeks counted Kovalev when he sat on the ropes? Sure. The ropes held him up for a second there. He could have counted, but in my opinion, it would have done him no good because Ward was it was an inevitable stoppage coming up because Ward was just, it looked like he was gaining steam, and Kovalev sprung a leak somewhere along the line, and it doesn't look like he had anything left.
For sure.
And on that note with Brandon Rios, who wouldn't want to see Brandon Rios versus Danny Garcia? That wouldn't be a bad little fight.
No, man, I think Garcia would kill that guy.
I don't know. I think he gets hurt.
Hey, it'd still be exciting. It'd still be exciting. I still think it'd be exciting for a minute there. But hey, I think it's two bangers in there. I mean, the one thing about Brandon Rios, I mean, to me, for a boxer, I mean, hey, I'm not saying I look the best. I know I got my little love handles going nowadays, but man, when I box, man, 6-pack ripped and everything. I mean, when you get in that, when you're training for a fight, I mean, you see these fighters, they look tremendous. Brandon Rios never seemed to. I mean, he always looked like he never really trained that hard. Possibly, I don't know what it is. But I don't know. I still like
he always had that bad bug.
Yeah, he always looked like just a little flabby, never really tight. Who knows? But I'm going to give all the credit in the world, Skip and Studs, to Andre Ward, because he showed me some things I haven't seen from him since he fought Froch and Kessler and guys like that. I mean, he looked tremendous last night, and I don't know about that move to heavyweight, but I sure as heck wouldn't mind him fighting Usyk up at cruiserweight first to see how that looks, and a few other guys. I mean, it's going to be interesting because I don't think he's getting that Adonis Stevenson fight, so we'll have to see. But that's all I really got, and I love the show, guys, and I appreciate it, man.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for your call. Very good, man. Very good. Yeah, I'm not so sure about a Rios Garcia fight, but maybe it is exciting. I mean, Rios is one of those fighters that does bring it. I mean, no matter what, he will bring it. I just think when he gets into this, I think Danny Garcia is way over his class. And that's what I worry about is when he gets in there with somebody that can box, and Garcia can clearly box. That would be that's a bad matchup, I think, for Rios. And I don't know.
Well, that's why I said Victor Ortiz.
Yeah, I'm not Victor Ortiz's biggest fan either. But I'm
not either.
Way past. I think he's past go quite a while ago. So we'll see what happens there. All right, so that was it for the action this weekend. Let's talk about the upcoming fights here. Not a whole lot on the docket here. June 20th, Eddie Ramirez, and this is going to be on PBC on Fox Sports 1. Eddie Ramirez versus Eric Bonet, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. And let's see what else we got here. Not a lot. I'm looking on CBSSports.net on June 24th. And Robert, is that a Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, Robert's like Rain Man. Derek Rossi versus Carlos Negron, 10 rounds heavyweights. Enrique Collazo versus Steven Martinez, 8 rounds middleweights. This is the Evander Holyfield promoted card in Louisville, Kentucky. This is what Joe in Indiana said he won tickets to. And it's going to be on CBSSports.net.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And on Robbie's favorite station from Guadalajara, Mexico, BN Sports, Carlos Diaz versus Sergio Puente, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. And let's see here. What else is on the... Kermit Cintron is still fighting. How about that? He's going to be fighting me on Saturday.
Oh, my God.
Philadelphia, not televised, and probably the best... that's probably the best decision they've made. Kermit Cintron versus Tyrone Brunson, 10 rounds, junior middleweights. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. Devin Haney versus Eric Daniel Martinez, 8 rounds lightweights, and that's going to be in California. Again, no television information on that one.
Okay.
All right, so let's move ahead here. Because we're not going to be here next week. I'll be traveling back, and so we're not. And there's not a whole lot going on. So we're going to take a week off and then be back in with you in 2 weeks. But the Robert Easter Dennis Shafikov fight takes place on June 30th in the lovely Toledo, Ohio. The PBC on Bounce TV. What do you think of that, B? What do you think of that fight, Easter and Shafikov? I think it's a good fight. I think Easter wins, but I don't think he wins as easily as everybody thinks he's going to win.
It's an interesting fight, but I have to disagree. I just think Easter's range and his speed and his size and just his overall boxing ability. Shafikov is a grinder.
Yeah.
And I think Shavikov's style is tailor-made for Robert Easter. But again, he's going to make Robert Easter work. It's going to be one of those fights where, Easter could have a wide victory on the scorecard, but each of those rounds will still be hard-fought rounds regardless if he wins them or not, which I think he'll win quite a bit of them. I think the scorecard will be wide at the end. But as I said, it's not going to be like one of those types of fights where Easter's not going to have to sit down on his mouthpiece and work hard. So it'll be an entertaining fight. Easter could possibly stop Shavikov. I possibly think he will stop him late, but I still think it's a decent fight. It's an interesting fight, and it's not a fight that I mind seeing.
Okay. And then on July 1st, that weekend here, that Saturday, July 1st, from Brisbane, Australia. I have been waiting for this fight because I think it's the fight of the year. Manny Pacquiao, Manolo Pacquiao versus Jeff Horn. 12 rounds for Pacquiao. WBO, I can't even say that with a straight face. The WBO welterweight champion. You know, what do we?
Who the fuck is Jeff Horn? And you know, this goes to show you how important this fight is, Eric. You know, here is June 18th. We have no TV information on that fight for the United States. It may not even be televised here.
I think that might be a good thing. I think that might be a good thing, you know.
Who the fuck is Jeff Horn? And from what I understand, from what I understand, 55,000 seats have been sold for that fight. It's an outdoor soccer stadium.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I heard too. I mean, that's a big event. I mean, that's a big event in Australia. It's not very big here though. I mean, that's
no.
Yeah. Beeb, have you seen Jeff Horn fight? I mean, you know, I've seen little clips of him and everything like that. I've never seen like a full fight. But
I've never seen him fight. I don't know who the hell Jeff Horn is.
I have to confess, I haven't even watched a clip of him on YouTube, and I'm probably going to have to do something, you know, do some investigation. But I've had no desire to look him up recently. Going to have to motivate myself to do so in the near future.
Will you pay for the fight?
I'm sorry.
Who's on the undercard here? Who's on the undercard here? We got Michael Conlon versus Jared Onion. 6 rounds. Go ahead.
Okay.
Jerwin Anakaha.
This may be one.
Go ahead.
This may be one that. I may not. The hell with it. I'm going to buy it. Of course I will.
Oh, look at B. What a degenerate. What a degenerate buying this fight. Unbelievable.
Anyway, go ahead with the undercard, Eric. I want to hear this.
Jerwin Anakaha versus Teru Kinoshita. 10 rounds for Anakahas' IBF bantamweight title. Shane Mosley Jr. versus David Tuasant. 8 rounds middleweights. So, you know, Michael Conlon is co-main, it looks like. Yeah, that's not a pay-per-view worthy card, even though you know it's going to be on pay-per-view. Robert, will you buy this?
Frankly, until I know where it's going to be and how much it's going to be, I can't make that decision. But right now, no, I'm not.
$59 on pay-per-view. Would you buy it? I don't know.
No, no.
All right.
No.
So now, let's move on to our news and rumors. Beeb, it's time.
Chugga. Choo-choo.
Ah, where's our sound girl? Where's that? All right. So the train wreck of the week is Deontay Wilder, and I've got to give credit to Boxing MD here, quoting the phrase "Bong Squad." WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder was charged with a second-degree possession of marijuana in his hometown of Tuscaloosa, Alabama on Wednesday, according to Tuscaloosa police. Robert, does this surprise you?
No.
Wilder was on his way to run some errands in the area when police stopped him for a window tint violation. They smelled the odor of marijuana, leading to the search of the vehicle. He was cited and released on a $1,000 bond. The lawyer for Deontay Wilder said Deontay has been out of state for several days. He returned home today from Georgia, driving his Rolls-Royce, and selected his Cadillac Escalade from his fleet of vehicles to run errands. Patterson also noted that the marijuana did not belong to Deontay Wilder. Beeb, do you buy that story?
You know, I could buy it, but I'm not even really worried about it one way or the other because I don't have a problem with him having marijuana anyways. But, yeah, do I buy it? Maybe not. But again, I can't factually say one way or the other. But I suspect that maybe it was his. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think it probably was too.
But I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it probably was too. I don't think it's a huge deal. But yeah, it's
look, marijuana is eventually going to be legal in all 50 states anyway. It's going to be like the DUI stuff, you know. So you can't really make a big deal about it. But my question is, here it is in the middle of June. Why haven't we had an announcement about a fight? You know, I understand you've got errands to run, you got a life to live, but what about an upcoming fight for you? You've been out of the ring since you fought Gerald Washington, and you got lucky to win that. I mean, it's time to be signing a name to a contract and getting in the ring.
Well, he's holding out for a big payday against John Ruiz or somebody like that, somebody of that caliber, huh? Or Shannon Briggs, yeah. John Ruiz, you know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there you go. There you go. All right. So it has been signed, sealed, and now it is being delivered. It is official. Conor McGregor will take on Floyd Mayweather August 26th at the T-Mobile Arena. The fight will take place at 154 pounds. They will wear 10-ounce gloves, and the fight will be scheduled for 12 rounds. Floyd Mayweather took to Instagram earlier this week to announce the fight. Conor McGregor, incidentally, also took to social media to announce the fight. And at the same time, mocking Floyd Mayweather Jr., Conor posted a picture of himself side-by-side with Floyd Mayweather and Floyd Mayweather Sr. with a message that read, "The fight is on." So it was him and Floyd Sr. So, yeah, he's been trolling him for quite a while on social media. Mayweather's coming back after a 23-month layoff to try to keep his perfect record intact. Floyd will also look to break Marciano's record of 49-0. Conor McGregor is a two-division champion in the UFC, and that has never been done. And he's held both belts at the same time. And but he has never been in the ring to box professionally. Robert, what do you think of this?
I think it's a complete joke, a complete circus, and I'm not paying a dime for this fight.
Oh, come on. You know you're going to watch it. Come on.
Come on.
What are you doing?
Nope.
Come on.
Hey, look.
B.
Look, I got suckered into paying for Pacquiao. I'm not going to pay for Floyd boring Mayweather against a guy that's never boxed before.
He's a two-division UFC champion. How dare you?
Well, enjoy spending your $125 or whatever the hell they charge. Because I'm not paying for this. I'm going to settle for the Miguel Cotto fight that night, and I really don't want to watch that fight either. But at least I don't have to pay for it.
I got to be honest, man. I'd much rather watch McGregor. I'd much rather watch McGregor Mayweather than Cotto Kamagai. That's just me, though. Beeb, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, you have to look at it for what it is. These guys are both big-name guys, and I've said this over and over again, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but you have what you call super fights, super events, and this is another super event. It's going to sell a lot of pay-per-view buys. Will the fight be competitive? Probably not. I just don't see it being competitive. But the big thing here is, can Conor McGregor at least win it maybe 2 or 3 rounds? That's the big thing. And can Conor McGregor finish this fight on his feet without getting stopped? That's what I want to see. And I want to just see how Mayweather looks against a guy like Conor McGregor. I want to see how much of his skills he's retained at 40 years old, being off for 2 years. I know he's taken time off before, long layoffs before, but he's never taken a long layoff at this age. So will that have an effect? There's a lot of intrigue in this fight, believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm looking at this fight, and I'm not having high expectations in terms of it being competitive. But I think the build-up's going to be fun, and I think that it's still interesting in its own right. I'm not looking for it to be a barn burner or a blockbuster or a super fight. I'm looking at it as a super event, and if you do that, then you shouldn't really be mad about it.
But both of you are going to spend at least $100 to watch this.
I am. I got to admit, I'm going to. Absolutely, 100%, dude.
Willingly.
100%.
Willingly. When is this ever going to be done again?
Okay.
This is monumental,
congratulations.
100%.
Congratulations to both of you. I'm not going to do it. I did it for Pacquiao. I'm not doing it.
You're going to buy it.
You're going to buy it, dude.
Nope.
Yeah,
you're going to buy it.
You're going to buy
nope.
it. It's done. It's already done. You're buying it.
I'm calling up your house.
I'm never going to buy this.
And I'm going to find out if you bought it or not.
Nope. I'm a man of my word. When I say I'm going to do something, I do it. When I say I'm not going to do something, I also do that.
Well, mark this on history. Robbie is going to welch on this. He's going to welch on this. I know he will. But let's talk about something serious for a moment here. Okay, so let's say here, let's give a couple scenarios here, and the first one is, here's my big issue with the fight. I don't care that he's fighting McGregor. I really don't. I don't care that he's fighting McGregor. I don't even care that they sanctioned it. My problem is, I do have a problem with them sanctioning it because it's never been done. A guy with 49 professional fights against a guy with 0 professional fights. I don't understand it. I don't understand how that can even be sanctioned. But we're talking about the Nevada State Athletic Commission. But, Beeb, let me ask you, what are your thoughts on him getting his 50th win, breaking Marciano's record on this fight?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't think it should be an official fight. I think it should be an exhibition.
They can't. They can't call it an exhibition. Legal. I don't even think legally they can do that.
Why
just
not?
because they're trying. Because they're both trying to win.
Is that right?
Yeah. If there's nothing on the line, they're not trying to win. It's just an exhibition. But if they're both trying to win, which clearly they're both going to try to do.
But who's sanctioning it though?
It's 12 rounds, so there's got to be some kind of belt.
The Nevada State.
Yes.
The Nevada State
Athletic Commission.
They're sanctioning.
Will sanction it, and they.
Yeah. And then I'm sure one of the governing bodies will come up with some kind of title or something.
Somebody will. Yeah, somebody will for sure.
Yeah. Well. So since the way you just explained it to me that it can't be an exhibition, what about Muhammad Ali versus Antonio Inoki? That was an exhibition too, right?
Yeah, but it took place in Japan.
Yeah, now that was an exhibition. Yes.
I'm pretty sure that took place in Japan, though.
So.
Yes, it did.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think it's kind of it's kind of sad that this will be the fight to break Marciano's record, but it is what it is. It's not illegal. He's got a boxing license. He did what he had to do. Technically, I think everything's in line here. So, it's kind of sad, but again, it is what it is. He's not breaking any rules here, so what are you going to do?
Robert,
it is what it is.
What are your thoughts on this breaking Marciano's 49-0 streak?
First of all, the true record to break, if you're going to break one, would be 89-0 before you lose. So I don't even consider this a big deal.
Wow.
No, I don't, because didn't Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. win 89 straight fights before he lost to Frankie Randall?
He was 89-0.
That to me,
but he retired. But he retired undefeated.
The record.
Marciano retired at 49-0 undefeated.
But again,
yeah. But Rocky Marciano got killed in a plane crash. So, therefore, he didn't get a chance to continue his career.
Yeah, but he's still retired. Whether the plane crash retired him or he retired on his own, he's still retired.
Yeah. No, I don't consider this a big deal, and I'm not going to support this. I know we have to talk about it. But I think it's a disgrace, and I'm not going to support it. You guys can do what you want, but I'm not going to support this.
Why is this bad for boxing?
This reminds me of the Mayweather-Pacquiao thing all over again. People are going to get suckered into it.
Right, but why was that bad? Everybody was looking forward to that fight.
Well, because of the way it turned out, Eric. One guy didn't put forth an effort, frankly. Honestly, if you really look back on that fight, I know hindsight is 20/20, and this was a couple of years ago, But if you really look back on that fight, one guy was prepared to fight and the other guy wasn't. If he was legitimately injured before the fight, as we found out he was afterwards, that fight should have been canceled and they should have had it at a later date. This is a joke. I'm not going to support this.
Wow. Harsh words from Robert. Beeb, let me ask you this. What happens, is it meaningful at all if, say McGregor, because I don't expect him to win a minute of any round. I don't expect him to win a round, but I don't expect him, I'm going to further it and even say, I don't expect him to win a minute of any round. I don't expect him to win any exchanges. I expect a one-sided beating ending with a KO or a stoppage. And even though, Floyd hasn't stopped anybody in years, this is not he's not a boxer. So of course he's going to stop him. I mean, that's what I think anyway. What happens, let me give you the scenario. What happens if McGregor does win a couple of rounds? Maybe he makes it competitive at times. Maybe he hits him flush. Maybe wobbles him a minute, and what does that say about boxing, if anything? Or is this just what does that say?
It does. I don't think it hurts or helps the sport. I just think that it could be interesting if he wins 2 or 3 rounds, but at the end of the day, it's still a blowout. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So if it's like an 8-4 type fight, then yeah, maybe. But 7-5, then that's kind of like, wow, okay, what's going on here?
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's probably going to be a 10 rounds to 2, 11 rounds to 1 type fight. And it could quite possibly end in a knockout. So, I just think it doesn't do anything for the sport, whether it hurts or helps. I think again, you have to look at it for being an event. And why get mad about it? Why get upset about it? If you don't like it, you don't watch it. And it's still, you still got a lot of great fights on the horizon. Still got a lot of great fights on the horizon. So why focus on this? This is, again, it's an event. Just keep saying to yourself, it's an event. It's not a real fight. It's not a legitimate fight. It's an event. And then you'll be happy.
Boxing fans are really heated.
I'm saving my money for Canelo and Triple G.
Boxing fans are really heated over this, and I don't get it because everywhere, clearly they wouldn't have put this fight together if there wasn't an outcry for it. People want to see this fight, right or wrong. They want to see the fight, But there's definitely an outcry for it. So I'm with Beeb. I mean, why get mad about it? So Robert, would the undercard change your mind at all? Because they're talking about putting Badu Jack on the undercard. They're talking about putting Tank Davis on the undercard. Does that change your mind at all?
It would depend on who the opponent is.
He's buying it.
He's totally buying it.
He's buying it.
That sentence right there. It would depend on who the opponent is. Lets me know everything I need to know. He's buying the fight.
He's buying it.
He's totally buying it.
He's buying it. Don't worry.
I'm not buying the fight because look, Badu Jack is a good fighter. Remember, he's moving up to light heavyweight. So who are they going to stick him in the ring against? Okay, who are you going to fight for? Who are you going to find for Davis to fight? I know Floyd has openly said he wants all of his main Mayweather Promotions fighters on the undercard. We already know that that's going to occur. But okay, who's going to do the matchmaking here, and how competitive are the fights going to be?
There you go. We'll have to see. Are you buying, incidentally, Robert, are you buying the Triple G Canelo fight?
Yes. That I'm buying. We don't fuck around in Mexico.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, let's move on here. Adrian Broner versus Mikey Garcia lands at the Barclays in Brooklyn. The fight between Garcia and Broner lands in Brooklyn at the Barclays, as we all expected. I think the PBC... And, Beeb, you can speak to this, too. I think the PBC makes good matches for the most part. But, wow, did they miss the mark on location or what? Just like the Bronner-Porter fight, the Battle of Ohio that took place in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
I really think they should have taken this fight to the West Coast and sold out the StubHub with this.
Correct.
Because I don't know if they're going to sell out the Barclays. I don't even know how big the crowd's going to be. I know New York is a fight town for sure. Why not take this out to the StubHub? Robert, why don't they take this out to the StubHub in your stomping grounds?
I have no idea. You could put this in the StubHub. You could put this in the forum. You could put this anywhere in Southern California. It would definitely sell out. Mikey Garcia is a very popular fighter because he's from Southern California. But okay, if you don't want to give Mikey Garcia the home ring advantage, you could put it in the Midwest. You're talking about you wanted it in Cincinnati. Well, why not put it in Cincinnati? But if you don't want to give Broner the home ring advantage, why does it have to be Brooklyn, New York? It could have been anywhere else but.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, to me, it's a bad location. Of course, we wanted, in Titletown, Cincinnati. But, if it can't be there, I mean, put it somewhere on the West Coast where, it's going to sell out. I mean, you want to see a good crowd, but they just seem to miss the mark, and I don't know why that is. Beeb, any idea why they missed the mark so much?
It's almost like the matchmaking too. They're still kind of finding their way through things. They don't have, like, Al Heyman is a manager, so it's his job basically to deal with fighters and get them the most money, the most bang for their buck, basically. The risk reward type thing. But I think that the one thing PBC didn't do is what Bob Arum did. Bob Arum always surrounded himself with guys who could help him. Todd DeBuff, his son-in-law, always had good matchmakers, good people working with him. And I don't think that PBC or Al Heyman really has a ton of guys with a lot of experience doing this. And I still think they're trying to find their way through things, and I still think they're making mistakes. But all in all, we still are getting some decent matchups, and I'm pretty happy about that. This is a great fight.
And I tell you what, I'm kind of with you
on where it lands.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, and I'm with you on the matchmaking on the PBC. I think that they're still kind of finding their way, but they do make good matches. I mean, they do. They make good fights. You know? I mean, not all of them are going to be great, but let's go back to the ESPN days where we didn't have anything. You're watching two like C or D level fighters go at it, man, and it's like we have much better action today than we did. I think we gotten spoiled by that, but I just think we do. It's my opinion. All right, don't forget we will not be here next week. Next Sunday we won't be here. But we will be here the following Sunday. So, Robert, what day is that? Is that the what was that?
That's July 2nd.
July 2nd. Okay. Yeah. So there you go, July 2nd. So we will be giving you a full update of the Manny Pacquiao Jeff Horn fight. So there you go. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Robert on Twitter at Ringside Robert. Or call Ringside Robbie's Corner at 917-259-1810. Leave him a message. You can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. And find his YouTube channel at beatingtheoddswithbeeb.com. I'm at Ringside73. And again, if you want to catch the shows, go to ringsidereporter.com. Follow me on Twitter at Ringside73. There's no reason you shouldn't be able to find these. You will find them everywhere. And we will see you next week. Oh, also, too, iTunes. There you go.
Thanks for listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. Check us out on the web at www.ringsidereporter.com, on Twitter at Ringside73, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Ringside73. Subscribe to us on iTunes.